the Chrome to open up so I can get to Twitch, but you can start playing, and we will just catch up to the nobody watching, no comments left when we get there. Let's hear a little bit of what's happening. What did you do to the audio? Because that sounds like junk.
I was wondering when you were going to notice.
Well, I had to turn it up first, and then I realized it's not the volume that's the problem.
I could put it on helium if that's better.
'Tis not.
It's funny. I forget what we were doing.
Well, see, last time we were playing, the game just went, oh, we dropped your connection. Sorry about that, brah. So, we abruptly stopped the game.
Maybe if we had better Wi-Fi.
I mean, we got the best Wi-Fi we can get for the middle of nowhere, so...
This is where I think it is. We might be able to get the Jak and Daxter collectible, but I also don't remember where this is.
Just a reminder, the microphone's like way over here, and you're being very quiet, and Twitch is still not loading for some reason.
Dang. Ooh, an item. Bottle. Scissor. Who stabbed the dirt and just left it there?
Somebody who was irritated. Isn't she from here? Shouldn't she know by now what things do and don't work? Here. Is she on the island right now? I've totally forgotten. It's been so many years since she
was from the Firefly Hospital.
Right. But she's an adult now.
Yes.
She's been with them for like 5 years. Hey, money.
Do you know everything about where we live?
Enough to get around.
But you don't know everything.
If this was the path I was used to taking, then yeah, I'd kind of know where I was going.
It's not the path they're used to taking, I believe.
Ow! Yeah, nobody is actually watching us live right now because Twitch is not loading at all. So,
get the app.
I'm not going to download a stupid app on my phone that has no space.
Okay, then the computer app.
I hate apps. That's why there's websites. I'm not downloading a separate app for every single thing I want to do. Ooh, new trophy.
Yeah, I'm somehow finding coins, and I don't care about the coins.
Look at the coins. I want to see if they're authentic.
I have 3.
Alright, what's the other one? Okay. Massachusetts. I don't think they're actually authentic.
How would you know?
Because I was alive when the quarters were coming out and they were a big deal for a couple of years until everybody got bored with them.
I don't know if the flames are out. I should just have the pistol. Where do I... Ah. I didn't see that the first time. Could you go and turn off the light?
You really want to do this in the dark?
Yeah.
Okay. There, suit yourself.
Now I can see the screen.
Alright, I think I'm actually going to get onto the channel now. It's pretending like it might just load. I mean, I guess I support the logic that taking enough of the right pills would make you feel faster or healthier, but don't really know that it's a good thing to promote.
Okay,
Swallow
well, you know
50
what? In The Last of
pills.
Us 1, smoking enough weed
Wait,
gives
what?
you new ability. Remember,
I don't remember
you
weed.
collect all the plants like it's Resident Evil.
I don't remember that. Was that like a side thing? Because
It's essentially the pills. Abby also wouldn't know this area because this is Scar territory just by that graffiti.
yeah, I'm really more curious about that whole backstory with her because they don't really get into it. They like hint on it and they say a few things about it, but they don't get into the whole backstory. I'd be very curious on it.
Well, maybe there will be one in like a DLC.
I did see something today about new Last of Us 2 content, but I didn't know if that was like automatic update freebie or you have to pay now to get the rest of your game.
The game didn't update, so...
That's true. I hate it when they're like, okay, here, look, we've got the rest of the game you paid full price for.
No, that's not what it is.
It was on quite a few of them.
Okay, but
Alan Wake ends abruptly.
it doesn't end abruptly.
Left 4 Dead has like all these different levels. Like you only get like 4 levels unless you pay for more. And for a game that probably cost people, what, $60 when it came out? That's ridiculous to not give them the full game. Video game...
But not all DLCs are like that.
True, but the video game industry makes more than music and movies combined. So, I mean, they don't need to be so nickel and dime grubby.
Okay, well, take The Last of Us 2. If it does come out with DLC, they already told the story they wanted to tell. Any DLC is just extra. In Spider-Man, they told the main story. But, what was it? It was called, like, The City That Never Sleeps. That was extra. It had Black Cat, and, like, they set it up in the side quest in the main game. But
So
they
it's a
kind of
way,
ended it off.
It's a way to make you pay for, like, an hour-long game.
Would you rather do that or pay $30?
I'd rather pay
for just
$30 for a full game, yes.
Well, everyone would pay $30 for a full game. But would you rather go out and buy it separately for more expensive than it is DLC?
But it's never cheaper as DLC.
Well, they're not going to release a hour or 2 hour
like when
game
when
for...
there's a brand new movie that comes out, you can go get it on Blu-ray for $20 or go buy it digital only for $25. And it's like, wait, I don't even get the physical copy for more money.
Okay,
it should be less.
Let me ask you this. So, you know the Tangled the series show you watch, right?
Yes.
Why didn't they just add that to the Tangled movie?
Because it doesn't even look the same and it came out 7 years later.
But it has the same characters. Why didn't they just add it to the Tangled movie? Because
that's not even connected.
Sure it is. It has the same characters.
No, because it's a whole standalone thing. The DLC's not so. It's add-on.
But it's not just standalone. Like, knowing the movie gives context to the thing. Sure, you can watch it without watching the movie, but you'll be confused.
I wasn't confused, and I hadn't seen the movie in years. There was all kinds of things.
But you saw the movie. You know the basic premise.
I just rewatched the movie this week, and there was all kinds of things that I had not remembered, and I still got through the show just fine.
Okay, but what about the magic hair? You remembered the magic hair.
Well, yeah, because they recovered that thoroughly.
What you're saying is that what DLC is, and let's take Portal 2. What you think DLC is like the main game would be the first half of Portal 2, and then the DLC would be all the Cave Johnson stuff. That's not what it is.
Okay, you know how when you can buy all the Harry Potter books in one set, right?
Yeah.
And then she came out with The Cursed Child.
Sure.
That's a whole separate book that's in a different format than the other books. It's in a different timeline than the other books. So that makes sense to not be included with the first 7 books. But when you're like, oh, you want to actually know what happened at the end? Well, pay us another $8. Like, that's crap.
Okay, well, Alan Wake, that one's confused. I haven't played the DLC or seen anything on the DLC, and neither have you. So we don't know if it's actually for the whole story or not, or if we just got confused about the ending. Because I'm still confused about the ending, even after Control. And that one just confused me about the regular game more. You know what? No, Control's a good one. Example, too.
I haven't played Control, so I don't have all the context.
Okay. It's... What it does is the basic story for Control is you're this person, and you go into this government building. You've been looking for these people for a long time. Yada yada. This, let's call it an alien force, takes over the thing, and you essentially have to save it, and you become director, all this stuff. You get all the context you need for what's happening, but then they have 2 DLCs. One that shows the past of the government place, and that's fine. It's not connected to the main story, but it still has all the characters, and we can experience more of the story and characters that we like. But it won't connect with the main plot much. And then for the Alan Wake one, it did connect to the main plot some, but not enough to where if you didn't have it, wouldn't make sense at all. It still made perfect sense, but it added just a little bit more context to not the story, but the DLC.
Then you get these...
And added a teaser saying, hey, guess what's coming out in a few years.
Yeah, but then you have like these games that, okay, the game came out, and then DLC came out, and you had to buy all of that separately, and then the next year it's like, oh, for $20 you can buy the Game of the Year edition that has all the DLC on it.
Sure.
And it's like, that's messed up. Like, you should just give it to the people who paid you full price for that game.
Well, and some do. Some do have free DLC stuff.
Like, I haven't even tried to put in Kingdom Hearts to see if the DLC for that was free or not, because I don't have the heart to find out.
I haven't played Celeste yet, but I want to, and I know they have a free endgame DLC, but that DLC is not necessarily, like, important to the overall story they were trying to tell before the DLC. The DLC is just for the fans who want more of this without wanting to... So... Well, the developers don't have to make another game so quickly.
Then put the work in to make another game, though. Like, earn your money reasonably. Don't be like, oh, you bought the whole game, but actually, here's the other half of that game. Like, I hate that.
Well, it's not that.
It's not even like, what is it, Hat in Time, where you have, like, the Yakuza. How do you say that?
Yakuza.
Yakuza. And that's, like, a whole separate game, you know? It's a little game, but it's a whole separate game.
It's not separate. It adds to the main story.
Or, like, what about those games that are like, okay, well, if you actually want to play this game effectively, or, you know, get to most of the features of this game, I hope that you've got online play that you're willing to pay extra for.
Well, those are different. Those are EA, and that's not DLC. That's EA being EA. They try to charge people $10 to access online features for used games. Well, it's EA.
Yeah, that's, like, I've got that Battlefront
you can't compare
Star Wars.
EA to
but
other...
they're not the only ones. Like, Xbox did it for all their games. PlayStation didn't do it before the 4. For the PlayStation 3, you could do online gaming for free. And then they thought, well, hey, Xbox people are still making lots of money. Let's do this. And it makes it less and less kid-friendly because parents are not willing to keep going on and on and on. And casuals like me are not willing to pay forever.
But here's the thing. You said Xbox and PlayStation. Let's go into that a bit. Halo. You can play the whole Halo game. That's fine. But then, if you want to play the multiplayer, that adds nothing to the story. All it is bonus for the people who liked the gunplay and liked
But that's
what's
the thing,
happening.
like, if you like the gunplay and you don't really care about the story, or you want to go play because your friends are doing it, now you've got to pay extra to do that, and that's messed
No, you don't.
up.
Just do what I do in Borderlands 3. Tune it out, like, have something in the background, and just play it. Shoot things. Have fun.
It's still, though, right there taunting you.
Now, let's do the original Last of Us game. They had DLC.
I mean, you
What
understand
that
the
DLC
marketing. They let you know
Hang
about
on,
this
hang on,
because
hang on.
of their marketing.
What
They
that-
want to scam you.
What that DLC did was it added a bit more context to what happened in the winter, which wasn't really important in the main story. It was just, okay, well, that's nice to know. It's not important, but cool. And it also showed more of Ellie's past, which the fans wanted to know, but if they added it to the main story, it
But we didn't buy that
pollute
DLC.
no, but we have it on the Game of the Year edition.
Exactly.
Which was cheaper.
Which
then-
was cheaper, but you don't know that's going to come out when you buy it at $60 and you never get that free update. You know, if people had the information that, oh, we're going to do a DLC story next year, and if you wait a year after that, you can get this whole game for $15 plus the bonus features. But if you give us $60 now, you actually get less. You know, they pay so much extra, it doesn't make sense to me. And even if you do it like a time thing, like, okay, for the first 6 months it's going to be paid, and then it'll be a free update. I mean, okay, fine, let the people who are willing to buy it, but don't be like, oh, you've got to buy it all over again. Like,
Okay, well then let me ask you this. Why do MCU fans want to have Disney Plus for the TV shows? It's because, while it may not necessarily be important to the overall plot, at the moment at least, until January 15th, they still want more of these types of stories with more of these characters for the world
but they're
they
going to
like.
end up doing like Star Wars for most of that and burning people out and destroying the franchise. I mean, they got really lucky with The Mandalorian that people took to it, but all these side stories on Star Wars movies have not been doing as well.
Maybe not, but that's still,
And it's the
in a
same
way,
thing
kind
with
of like a
Marvel.
DLC. It's a story that's not necessarily important to the overall story that they were trying to tell, but fans still would like to know this story, even if it's not important.
But that's the thing, is like quantifying
There it
fans.
is.
Somebody like gives you a fortune for a game, and then you're like, no, now give us more money because we didn't finish it all the way, or we want to tell more of this story that you already paid for in its whole.
Okay, well, let's say The Last of Us 2 is having a DLC, right?
Yes, it is.
When's it? Let's say the DLC comes out in July. That would have added another year. Just for the main game. Also for a bonus, which didn't need to be.
Or they don't have to make
waited
the
on.
DLC. They don't have to make the DLC and just vamp it into whatever.
Well, then
Last
what they're
of Us
saying is
3.
that they don't. No, they don't need to rope it into.
They
Last of
don't
Us
care
2.
about the fans. They care about the money.
Okay.
That's what all this is about.
In
It is
the-
not about making you
In the
happy.
original Last of Us DLC, they introduced a new character who is like Ellie's like first love or whatever. And
But
guess
that
what?
was
No. Guess what
mentioned.
happened? Guess what happened? It doesn't matter to this story. It
She-
doesn't matter to The Last of Us
She
Part
was
2.
mentioned, and they could have still done flashbacks with Ellie like they did with Abby.
But
It could have been
flashbacks
rolled
is
in.
not the gameplay.
It could have been rolled in.
It
It's a
doesn't have
way-
as much emotional
It's
impact.
a way to keep you manipulated into staying interested in the franchise and giving them more money without giving you a full game.
It's not just staying interested in the franchise. It's for the fans
Yes,
of
it
the franchise.
is. They don't give a shit about fans.
Yes, they do.
They
You
care
know,
about their money. Their
I'm
bottom dollar
gonna-
is all that matters, and you just keep going back and forth.
Yeah, even if you don't believe it, Some people care about their fans. You know why a lot of people are excited for Cyberpunk 2077? It's because they know it's going to be a good game with a good story.
But why?
And they want to make the fans happy.
No, it's about making the money, and they know making the fans happy
money is a priority, because without the money, they don't get another shot at this.
Because if you make a crappy game, nobody wants to buy it. So it's not about the fans, it's about getting the fans to get invested. That's all DLC is trying to keep you invested so that you're more likely to run out and buy Last of Us 2, which was the best-selling game on the PlayStation 4.
If it's meant to keep fans invested and they don't already have the game but they want the DLC, then what's the point? If it's a fan, they'll already have the game, or at least know enough about the game, to where they'll watch someone else play the DLC or get the DLC. Once again, Spider-Man, The City That Never Sleeps, they had like a whole 3-story DLC thing. Well, each one had its own story. They all connected to each other in a way, but not like you didn't need all 3. Like, you still got a small story in each one. It was made for the people who liked the game.
You're delusional. Like, these companies aren't your buddy. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart.
They're the buddy, or that they're doing it out of the If they were doing it out of the goodness of their heart, it'd be free. But they can't do it out of the goodness of their heart because they need to pay these people that work so hard on these games.
Because when you make billions on your games, yeah, you don't have money to, like, do downloads and stuff, yeah. It's because it's a quick cash grab. Just like when Disney made all those straight-to-video sequels and most of them were terrible, it wasn't for the fans. Okay. It was because they could make money.
Let's compare Celeste and a AAA game right now. Celeste, I don't know much about it. I'm assuming it's a small team.
Then how are you going to compare it?
No, for an indie game, they do care about their games a lot, and they care about the community. Community for indie games is a really big part, which is why Hat in Time's still doing well, because it has a great modding community. And the people like Gears of Rexers are like, yeah, we like this. We're going to tweet about all the mod stuff too and make special things with the mods like challenge rates. They care about the community, but the DLCs they have can't be free because they still have to pay people to make the game everyone loves. They still like the game. They still like the community. They still want to be a part of the community, but they can't keep making things the community loves if they can't help pay people to make it.
But then why not just make the full game? Then win-win-win, right?
It is the full game. Okay, let's go back to The Last of Us 2 has DLC. If it does have DLC, and it's added onto this, let's say it was done, and it all released at the same time. You play through this, but the DLC is already mushed in there, stomped into the game, violently too, to where people that didn't like Ellie and Abby, oh, well, you may not have liked this, but guess what? Midway through the game, we added a third character for the very end of the game. It makes no sense right now, but trust me, once you beat the game, it might make sense. No, it also doesn't connect to the story or the message at all.
Your points aren't even relevant, then don't make the DLC. There's always that option. Don't go for the quick cash grab. Okay, are you going to play
It's not just a quick cash grab.
It's a cash grab. You hurt her now.
It's to add
are you happy?
It's to add a story for the greater world.
For the greater good of the world.
Yeah, yes. Do you think in The Last of Us world, the only people that matter are Ellie, Abby, and Joel? No, there are other people, and while they may not matter as much or be as important, their story can still be interesting to tell.
Yes, that's how stories work. Read The Giver, sir.
But guess what? Their story isn't important to The Last of Us 1 or 2, but it is important.
Then make a whole spin-off game.
Spin-off games don't always do well. If it's like, hey, this is a DLC for The Last of Us Part 2. It's the same engine. It's everything else.
Exactly. It's market manipulation because it keeps money coming into that franchise.
Think of it like the FIFA games. Actually, no. Oh, I have the greatest comeback now.
Keep your hand on the controller.
No. The FIFA games. Do you know about the FIFA games?
I don't even know what you're talking about, FIFA.
The FIFA games.
Are you talking about soccer?
Yes, it is a soccer game. And you know everyone's biggest gripe with it? It is every time they release a new game, people are like, this could have just been an update for the old one. Because they're using the same engine, the same things, they just slightly change things around. And people are tired of it. They don't like that. When you get a new game, you expect
it to be new engines, new stuff, new gameplay.
No, you
style.
don't. Look at Mario 1 through 50. I mean...
Yes, that's why people don't like the new Super Mario games, because it's been the same game forever. People aren't happy with that. It's been just essentially DLC little upgrades. People aren't happy about that. You can't say that that's what the people want. Just make a standalone game, because then it ends up costing more, because it can.
Yes, that's exactly why they do DLC, because it doesn't cost
But
them as
DLC
much.
doesn't cost as much as a brand new game.
But you don't much. So you're, as the consumer, getting shorted.
Alright, here's what we're going to do now. I'm willing to skip ahead in time. You're going to play all the new Super Mario Brothers games, and you're going to tell me that they're different games. You're going to have to convince me that they're different games. You're going to have to tell me how they're all different. No, it's not.
That completely is irrelevant. If people like that gameplay mechanic and they can use it in several different ways, then that's not a problem.
But here's the thing. It adds nothing. What they do is essentially they're just remixing the game every time. It's essentially a DLC. But people don't like that they're its own game because they're tired of the market.
It's still selling out left and right.
It's not selling out left and right, is it?
Yes, like most Nintendo
No,
games,
New
they're
Super
all
Mario
very hard
Deluxe
to
is
get.
selling out, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I was there on Black Friday while you stayed home.
Black Friday's different because everything's cheap and people pick things up like they do on Steam. Like, oh, this is like, what, 50 cents? Sure, I'll
Keep
pick
your hands
that up.
on the controller.
I'll pick that up. Sure, it's 50 cents. What's the harm?
You don't need to talk with your hands like a mother chicken.
Well, no, because you're actually infuriating me, and this is
Because-
awful. Your point is stupid.
My point's you're
Yes.
sitting there acting like, no, developers are our friends trying to make
No,
us all
I'm not
happy.
saying that there are friends and trying to make us happy. What I'm saying is that even if they're not trying to make the fans happy,
How often do you get DLC?
often,
Almost never. right?
fairly, I mean, a good chunk of time.
When in the world have I ever bought you DLC?
Let's see. Hat in Time, Borderlands 3.
I didn't pay for any of that.
Yeah, you did, because I ate the whole thing of popcorn before Endgame.
What are we even talking about?
There's this thing with the large bag of popcorn before we got into the Endgame movie. You get me something because you didn't want to have to put up the effort of going into it, and then in the middle of the movie, having to go out and get popcorn again.
That sounds like you worked for it then. That there was an
Yeah, I did,
arrangement.
but you still paid for it.
This sounds like I gave you money and you spent it how
No,
you wished.
you paid for it. Anyway, what else is there? There's Borderlands 3. There's Hat in Time again because I had to ask if I could also get the first DLC while I was at it getting the regular game.
Again, not anything I paid for.
Still, you asked when was the last time I got DLC. I've gotten DLC quite a bit.
3 times.
Spider-Man as well.
That you tricked like Nana or Papal into buying for you.
No, I didn't. I tricked you into allowing me to buy it.
No, because you came back with a gift card. I never got you a PlayStation
No.
gift card. Yeah, because you had to call them because
Hang on.
turn around and play the game.
No, I'm trying to look around now because I know I've gotten a bunch of
a
DLC.
nuisance because you don't
Because
want to
you know you're wrong and you don't want to admit
want to admit what a marketing ploy is. They don't make any game because they love you. They make it because it makes them money.
That's not what I'm saying, that they love us. What I'm saying is that
His poor
it makes the
head.
fans happy. And you know what? Sure, maybe it is a marketing ploy. But a good DLC adds to the overall
But
world
that's the
without
problem.
affecting the main
That's
story
the problem.
much.
Is most of them are not good, and they're
Okay,
still
sure,
charging
most
you.
of them are not good. But then that itself, the games aren't good.
That's not
So if
true.
the game... Hey, tell me how the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC is?
You don't like Kingdom Hearts.
Neither do you, by the sounds of it.
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
You just complained about it, and how you don't even know if you want to get into the DLC.
And I said I'm not going to pay the DLC, and I haven't put it in to find out if it's free or not. I believe is exactly what I said.
You know, no, let's go back into if it is a marketing ploy. If it is a marketing ploy, what it does for the franchise is it has the fans tell them, hey, we like this kind of stuff. Keep doing
No,
this.
what it's done is created all these consoles. They're not.
No, video games are kid friendly most of the time.
I don't even mean like violence.
You think Halo's? You think Halo is
Didn't I just
kid-friendly?
say I don't mean violent wise? Why don't you listen for a change instead of running your mouth? Okay.
Well, because you keep interrupting me, and I have to say my point fast and loud, like every politician, because I'm not allowed to talk.
Wind me a river there. But I totally forgot what we were saying.
I also
You just
I
started
want to
brat.
say you keep saying DLCs are so bad. When was the last time you played a video game? You hate playing video games because
Are you
there's
kidding me? Like,
there's too many buttons. You
I've
say
put in 80 hours.
you
in
and
the
your
last 2 months.
Nintendos.
In the last 2
You
months, I've put
kids
in
and your
80 hours on
Nintendos.
Tropico 6.
Oh wow, Tropico 6. Yeah, such a game. So much in how to play.
And they still have DLC out the rear. So does Jurassic World. Don't you be some elitist neckbeard trying to game
Elitist
shame me because
neckbeard.
the game
I'm not trying to
I
game
like
shame you.
aren't
You're literally
right.
trying to game shame me.
No, I'm telling you, DLC is stupid and it's killing the industry for children.
No,
That's why. Watch commercials. Commercials in the 90s, video game systems were aimed at like college students, teenagers, children. Now they're aimed at because the kids can't even play these anymore because there's so much DLC. Nobody pay for the systems. Even though it makes the money, it's kicking so many people out of the industry.
The games do have a lot of DLC are bad games which are notorious for being money hungry, like FIFA. Things like A Hat in Time, Borderlands 3. Like Borderlands 3, no one really liked the story that much. So a lot of people didn't like Ava
Just
as a
because
character.
you didn't like it,
No,
or
a lot of people
you
complained
watched a
about it.
streamer who didn't like it, doesn't mean everybody didn't like it. Because obviously it made plenty of money.
It made plenty of money because people still like the Borderlands franchise. Like, the gameplay itself was fun and good. And when they made the DLCs, people were like, okay, the DLCs are actually better than the main story because they're shorter, condensed, and easier for them to tell, it seems. So, the DLC in Borderlands 3 added nothing to the main story because it's not important to the main story. What I'm trying to say is, it's not that the fans love the company or whatever, or the company is trying to be friendly with the fans, even if they are in some cases. What I'm saying is that what DLCs are, even if they're not liked, in the base concept for at least story games and most games, it's more of what people liked that either was made later on and doesn't connect to what they already went through, or is just more of a Halo multiplayer.
He's making a marketing argument right now. Okay, look at the Disney keys. The thing a few years ago, they were just a little gift that they started giving away if you were the first person to open up the store in the morning. And then they realized, hey, people like these. Let's put different designs on them and see if they'll come rush in and spend money to get those. And okay, yeah, this free gift with purchase works. Now the keys cost $13 each to buy.
But keys aren't DLC.
It is, though, if you're a collector and you like them.
No.
If you enjoy them and that's part of your fandom or your community and you want to collect the things that are part of that, then it is. And that's why people are paying like $400 for some of these keys.
Well, then why are they still paying for it if they don't like it? If you don't like buying the keys, then don't buy the keys.
But there are people who collect them. And they're like, oh, well, I could only get this Frozen key if I bought these 2 Frozen limited edition dolls. And they're like, but I don't even collect dolls, but I want the key. So I had to spend $300 just to get a key.
Okay, but what you're saying isn't like... For The Last of Us, if you buy the Ellie plush and all of these other like toys in Brock the Brick, you don't get free DLC for the game. You
That's
get
not
those
the
things
point I'm
because you just went, oh, you only get this because you bought all this other stuff that doesn't relate to it. That doesn't make sense.
No, I'm saying it's marketing. That seemed unnecessarily violent.
You
for
can't
her.
go like, oh, DLC, but let me explain why.
It's marketing. That's all it is it's more marketing. How do we keep the game fresh? How do we keep the game alive? How do we keep people interested? How do we keep revenue coming in? DLC.
But it's not always like that. Some people make the DLC because they care about the game and the community.
Maybe little indie publishers do, but I promise you, like Naughty Dog and Squaresoft and all those companies are not.
Okay, Insomniac. Why do you think they made the Spider-Man DLC? Because they knew beforehand, you know, what we're making, this is actually a really good Spider-Man game. They're fans of the Spider-Man franchise and all that stuff. They like Spider-Man.
Well, then why wasn't Miles Morales DLC? Why was he his own game? Because you said it wasn't enough to be its
multiple
own game.
reasons. No, multiple reasons. It's larger than a DLC. It is meant to be its own story that can't be put in the DLC. Because
a DLC doesn't have set rules.
No, guess what? For the Spider-Man DLC, if you get a Spider-Man DLC, you expect to play as Spider-Man. And Miles Morales is Spider-Man. No, Miles Morales is Spider-Man, but he's a different Spider-Man. He has his own power set. Like the Spider-Man in the PS4 and remastered, he relies on his mostly gadgets. While Miles Morales, he has like the Venom strike. He uses his Venom stuff to their max potential most of the time. But it's too large to be a DLC because I put 8 hours into that game just to get through the story and the side quests. That's a lot just to be a DLC. And then make it a super expensive DLC at that.
So then,
and another reason was because they were being told by PlayStation most likely, hey, this needs to be on PS5 to show like the graphic stuff and all that. To show, hey, this is going to be a good system.
Then why not take that route with all of the major DLC releases and make it
because Miles Morales wasn't a major DLC thing. That's like, okay, we're playing.
You were saying up until the week it came out that you didn't know if it was going to be a DLC or not.
No, I said I didn't know if it was going to be a spin-off in like $30, like The Last of Us Uncharted, or not The Last of Us, Lost Legacies, that's what it was called. Which is a lot like the Miles Morales game, where it doesn't have like Nathan Drake, but has these two side characters, and it tells their story past the game.
Exactly.
It's not a DLC because it doesn't involve the characters that were originally for the game that you're saying the DLC should be for. While Miles Morales was in Spider-Man PS4, the Miles Morales game itself takes place like a couple months at least after the Spider-Man game. And Spider-Man's injured. You can't play as Spider-Man.
Okay, well let's look at one of the games that I do play all the time. I put so many hours into that has a ton of DLC on it. Like the Jurassic World, I think it's called Operation Genesis. The one where it's like a Jurassic World tycoon. If I want to get all of the dinosaurs and I want to have a full park with every different kind of dinosaur in there, I have to pay like so much extra for each dinosaur. Because that's how it works. I paid full price for the game, and then I have to turn around and buy all these extra dinosaurs separately if I want access to the full game, and I think that's a bunch of crap.
Well, it's a tycoon game. Like mostly for a tycoon game, if you're getting DLC, it's to add more to the experience because you've gone through most of what you could already do. For a tycoon game, you don't go there like, okay, I'm going to get every dinosaur. Like, you don't play Roller Coaster Tycoon and go, okay, I should be able to do everything I want in a roller coaster. No, you can't do that.
You should, if you paid for it. Yes, you should have access to everything.
No, because that type of tycoon game is based in logic in some point.
It's really not.
Roller Coaster Tycoon is not Minecraft. You can't have it just floating wherever you want and doing whatever you want. While that you can do that in some cases, and some things are a little bit weird like that. That's not the main point of the game. We're like, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want with roller coaster. It's to show like, hey,
game.
This is like you could do this with roller coaster stuff. This is what it would be like if you owned a roller coaster.
It's a sim.
Amusement.
I don't think you understand how sims work because you're describing like, well, that's not physically possible.
Well, I don't play with roller coaster tycoons, but you're still making stupid points.
You can make any world that you want. If the roller coaster is stupid and doesn't work, then it kills people. But you still have the right to have 75 roller coasters with a half an inch between them if that's how you want to build your park.
Okay, well, you know what? You also gave me another thought because, like, I'm trying to play this and argue, which is not good, which is why I keep stopping to think. And you're like, no, play!
This is
Don't think! Don't
the
think!
whole
Play!
reason
Anyway, no. Let me talk. 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 Let me talk.
I'm gonna get a spray bottle and just give
Well,
you
then, maybe you should let me talk. Maybe you should let me talk. That
Maybe
thing
I
I've been asking for.
Maybe I shouldn't because you're hostile and should not be recognized if you're going to talk hostilely about something that, may I mind you, does not even impact you as a person. Like, this is not a industry you
You
work
already
in.
made me forget my point because you won't let me talk!
Quit throwing your fit and smiling about it.